What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last night's season finale of Teen Mom 2. Thank God it's a season finale because this show is just not it anymore. So it seems like Brianna has gotten Stella involved in some kind of Spanish learning lessons somewhere, which is great because listen, they all live in Florida, they're Hispanic, so it's odd to me that Brianna and Brittany don't speak Spanish themselves, but thank God they're getting Bree's daughter Stella involved with the language. So Brianna describes her conversation with a lawyer about the custody situation with Lewis, and all of this was done in front of Stella, which I found very odd, but you know, par for the course with these girls and a lot of the other girls as well. And they complain that his rights can't be taken away because he's not abusing Stella, at least not physically. Roxanne tries to argue, listen, being an absentee parent abuses the child mentally and emotionally, but you know, Brianna's like, listen, if there's no blood, there's no bruises, then there's no abuse in the eyes of the courts in terms of the situation. So we cannot get rid of his parental rights. It's sad, but this is why you think before you have kids with a random man that you barely even know. Most of these people are not responsible in any way, shape, or form for themselves, let alone for a child, right? Like Lewis can barely take care of himself in his 30s. He doesn't even have a stable job. Over in Dover, Chris makes another appearance on the show. Like he walks into Kale's house. I'm sure he saw the cameraman filming out there and still decided to waltz on in there, despite always like kicking up a fuss about not wanting to be on the show and stuff. And like, you know, in contrast, you see Joe just come out of his car, open the door for Isaac to get into the house by himself. That's someone who doesn't want to be on the show. So he invites himself into Kale's house, which is very interesting because remember last week he invited himself into Kale's car and like helped himself to her like map and stuff like that, which is odd. And so he demands that Kale sends their son Lux over to his house with a hoodie next time. And I'm like, that's weird. Why don't you just buy the child a hoodie if you want him to wear a damn hoodie? And Kale asked him the same thing. Like, why don't you just get him a hoodie at your house? And he's like, well, because I'll barely get to see him. And I guess he's kind of intimating there that, listen, if I buy him a hoodie, the next time I see him, the child is going to outgrow the hoodie. So you need to be, you know, keeping up to date with his, like, it's weird with his hoodies, right? So then she tells him that he will get more time with Lux because that's what they're fighting for in court right now. Like, he's trying to get more time, and apparently he's going to start getting overnight visitations. And he complains about that. He's like, you know, I have to wait until June to start getting overnight visitations with my own son. Listen, dude, that is your own problem. Again, this is what you get for having kids with people you're not in committed relationships with. It gets a whole lot messier than it would be if you guys actually planned to have these children. So he claims to not be able to get 50-50 because of school, but the other kids, Lincoln and Isaac, are school aged and their dads have 50-50 custody, so I'm not exactly buying that. And so on his way out of the house, he tells Kale that he's going to be proposing something, but she's not going to like it. And so he bounces. And I'm like, why is this guy who's always like bitching about not wanting to film for this show because he wasn't offered enough money? Why is he out here filming this stuff for free? He already asked Kale before if she had a mic on her, so he knew that his voice would be picked up. He saw the GoPros in her car the last time, so he knew that him going F you, F you, F you would be on video. So it's like, do you want to do all this stuff for free 99? Because that is what it's looking like. And honestly, I think we all know the real reason why he cannot have Lux in a hoodie at his house is because he does not have the coins for it, because he's not currently working. He refuses to work because his baby mama is rich, and he's like, you know what, if I can't be rich, then I don't want to work. Well, at least try getting yourself on the show that made her rich, and work your way up instead of doing it for free. Anyway, over in West Virginia, Corey puts the kids on an allowance, and Leah is still talking about this lump that she refuses to have removed. So I fast forward through her scenes, and then we're transported down south to California, where Bar didn't just miss his midterm. Apparently, he was also missing his assignments, because that's what he tells Ashley. He's like, you know, like I'm talking to my teacher about, you know, working out when I can hand in my assignments that I was missing. And I'm like, dude, you have no job, and you and Ashley had a schedule to where you would both be able to study and take care of Holly, like 50-50. So what were you doing with all of that time? So in Indiana, Jade and Sean got into a fight, so she kicked him out of the house again, only to find out that he set up a dating profile on Tinder. And you know, she found out because fans of the show sent it to her. And so she talks to her producer, Felicia, about it. And she's like, you know, he looks dumb. You're on TV proposing to me and stuff like that. And then a couple of like months later, you're on Tinder. You look like a loser. I feel bad for you and I feel embarrassed for you. And then she also says that she started suspecting him of using drugs again, and she accused him of being a toxic person. And then she also compares him to her mom. She's like, you know, they've both got those addict behaviors, and she calls them both manipulative narcissists as well, which is very strong. And then she complains that he's always yelling and bitching at her and their daughter Chloe. But listen, sis, you were always doing the same to that child as well, even dragging her by one arm and just shutting her in her room like that, like all the time. So it wasn't just him. We got to keep it real here. And in the final bit of her scene, she claims that he was like really angry all the time because he felt, and I quote, demasculated, which mind you is not a word. You know, these girls don't read, and it shows. So heading back over to Dover, Kail picks up an extra large iced coffee and heads over to the hair salon to complain about her custody situation with Chris. She's not happy because he wants to have Lux during the summer holidays, whereas she would only get weekends during like the summer holiday. And listen, when I was in high school, I knew some kids who had that kind of agreement where they would be with like their mom typically during the school year, and then when it came to summer, they would like go off to their dads. One of my friends in particular, we were in Ottawa and she would go to Montreal for like the month of August or whatever. And I don't know, it's kind of, I would be jealous if I were the parent that's always like getting them up for school, picking them up, driving them, helping with homework and stuff. And then it's finally summer holidays and you get to enjoy them full time and this and that. And they're going to be gone with the other parent who's like not really around that much, like the other 11 months. I get it. I would feel some type of way as well. So in Florida, Brianna and her mom and sister are all sitting around after enjoying, you know, a bunch of Pizza Hut. You see it piled up in the background. Mind you, didn't they just... Okay, so Brittany just got lipo. She's like, listen, my outer thighs or whatever are getting too big. I'm working out so much. You know what? Let me stop. So anyway, she's still complaining about Louis not getting his rights terminated. But she also mentions that he asked to pick up Stella from school and she decided to let him. And she's like, I told Stella about it and she seemed rather happy. So we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, things changed when Louis actually picked up Stella. So she FaceTimes Brianna crying, and I don't know, like Brianna's trying to console her and stuff. She was very nice and everything, but then again she goes, don't be mean to him. Like, why does she always kind of like try to invalidate her feelings like that? Anytime Stella's upset about something to do with her deadbeat dad, Brianna accuses her of being mean to him. And it's like, you know what? I don't like it. It kind of feels like she's programming Stella to discount her own feelings to make men feel comfortable, which I don't agree with. And I think that it's already way too common in women. So in Indiana, Sean meets up with their producer Felicia to complain about Jade being suspicious of him being on drugs. And so he complains about Jade, quote, pushing his daughter onto him, and claims that watching his own child is, again, demasculating, word that doesn't exist, and calls stay-at-home dads house bitches. Yeah, like what a total loser, you guys. Like the only house bitches out there are parents who sit around and don't care for their own children. Like there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home dad and everything wrong with being a deadbeat dad. Like Sean should 1000% wholeheartedly be ashamed of himself for being so damn ignorant. He claims that Jade, quote, got to continue going to school and building a career after having Chloe, and he just doesn't realize how stupid he sounds. Jade was the one who was pregnant with that child. She was the one going through the morning sickness, going through like, you know, all the trouble, like the freaking drama of being pregnant, the heaviness, especially the last trimester and everything, not even being able to sleep, having to take time off from school and stuff to like just be pregnant. And then of course, going through labor, giving birth, nursing the baby. Those are things that Sean did not have to do. So he technically should be much further ahead than Jade. I don't know why he acts like he had to stay back for any of that. He didn't. He stayed back because that's all he does in life is stay back and not really try to accomplish much of anything. Like, you know, her being able to accomplish much more than him in the same time frame is a testament to how useless he is and how much of a house bitch he is. And it is not at all Jade's fault. So he also claims that he made his Tinder account just to piss her off, but not to seriously date. And he claims that they were not sleeping with each other for the last 6 months of their relationship. And then he also talks about like selling her engagement ring for $500 to a jewelry store. See, this is what I meant when I said, you know, I don't understand why he's bragging about, you know, 3 carats this, 3 carats that, when it was 3 carat total weight of a cluster ring, which is much different than a 3 carat solitaire ring. If he had gotten her a 3 carat solitaire ring, like he was bragging, big money, big money, big money, he would have been able to sell it for a lot more than $500. Even though diamonds don't really resell that well, he would have been able to get a lot more than that for it. So anyway, he claims to feel bad for the next guy who gets with Jade like he's some sort of prize. But then we get to see Jade again, and I noticed that with Sean gone, we finally see Chloe out of the house for like the first time ever. It's only in the backyard, granted, but it is a good start. In West Virginia, again, Leah is not letting this tumor storyline go. You know, the thing like has grown half a centimeter, and she's happier to have it continue growing than to just have the surgery and remove it. You know, her doctor doesn't recommend having the surgery. I don't understand why, but listen, if it's already growing this quickly, whatever, girl. Fast forward again. So now we're back in California, and it is time for Ashley's graduation party, and she walks right through the backyard screen door because she was distracted, which was kind of funny. So Bar takes the opportunity to announce to her that he has to serve 15 days in jail over his DUI situation, and she's not happy at all. She's like, listen, we're gonna tell Holly that you are going away on a vacation. So we're over in Dover again, and it's time for Kale's virtual hearing with Chris, and her nanny Natalie is watching the kids while she, you know, sits in on it. And so next we see her go off to her podcast office with another extra large sugary drink to talk about being upset at the ruling and refuses to share the details. Sounds like Chris got the summer holidays that he was looking for, but she's like, listen, it's not that I'm not talking about it because I'm upset about it, but listen, in the order, I'm not able to talk about it on social media or on the TV show. And I don't know if I believe that, because that has never happened with her other baby daddies. We know down to the T what's going on with them. So it's a little bit too convenient that this one with Chris is a mystery and she's not happy about it. And also, I think it's a little bit crazy to me that on Chris's podcast, he's like, listen, I went in there by myself, self-represented, got what I asked for against her and her 4 lawyers. Girl, I would be rethinking my legal team if it went down like that. So anyway, Brianna decides that Lewis can never pick up Stella again because she cried the first time that he did it. And I'm kind of curious, do you guys feel like it was a little bit drastic or not? Because listen, it's the first time that Lewis is picking her up by himself. It's still new to her. So I don't know. Like, should they ease her into it? Should they maybe have had Brianna go with Lewis come over, pick up Brianna, then they go together, like, you know, as a group, and then like keep doing that a little bit, then Brianna stopped going, Lewis just go by himself with Stella. I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit just drastic. It kind of reminds me of when she was like, Nova hasn't seen Devon's mother in years, but his mom just popped up and wants to spend time with her. I'm gonna have her sleep over there and go to school first thing in the morning straight from that grandma's house. Then of course Nova freaked out about it because it was just so extreme, and then Brianna was like so shocked, you know, shocked Pikachu about it. I don't know, she's a very drastic person with these things. So in one of the last scenes of the episode, honestly I feel bad for Leah's kids at this point with all of these dramatic announcements and lectures, okay? Listen, she gathers them all to a park to talk about this damn tumor situation again. She knew it wasn't cancerous the first time she got it tested, but then remember when she was talking to them last week, she's like, my biggest fear is that this will be cancerous, even though I know it's not. So she rounds them up to make this dramatic announcement that the tumor that she knew was not cancerous is still not damn cancerous. So what do I do here, you guys? Yes, you guessed it, I fast forward. So in the final scene of the episode, it is Ashley's graduation party, and Bar gets to drinking very heavily. He's very drunk very quickly, and then he gives her a nice announcement though that was quite sloppy, and she kept interrupting it. Honestly, the whole party was very, very sloppy. But then we get a black scene after everything saying that shots were heard being fired at the house after MTV left the party at 9 p.m. and Bar was arrested and charged with willful discharge of a firearm in a negligent manner, which I think is just so It's frightening, really, how accessible guns are to especially to such dumb people. You know, that this guy could have a party, house full of people. Why would a gun be anywhere out there to where you can allegedly accidentally set it off in a house full of people? You are drunk as a skunk at a party, and God even knows where your child is at that point. Just wow. I can't wait to hear all about it at the reunion special, because there needs to be a very serious discussion about that. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of the finale episode of this season of Teen Mom 2. It was a bit of a snooze fest, just like the rest of the season, but as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.